Is Falcon and the Winter Soldier woker than Batwoman? I'm Andy Signore. Welcome to Popcorned Planet. So happy to be here with my man, Lewis. What's up, Lewis?
What up, Popcorn Planet? How you doing?
I was worried there. We lost you for a second. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Me,
man. Good to be here, man. I know, Lewis, if you're not following Lewis over at Nerd Report, you should be, because Nerd Report does watch parties. Sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not. But you stay up late, you do the watch parties, and you watched the show last night. We're not going to spoil the show. So if you're not up to date in the show, we'll talk around it. I might spoil at the very, very end. We'll give you plenty of warning. But right now, no spoiler freeze. But Lewis, you're up to date. You've watched the show as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to bring this up because I am a fan of this show, and I know not everyone is a fan of the show, and it's intriguing to me to see how many people are sort of not enjoying it or getting frustrated by it. But the thing that's really annoying me is this sort of take that I've been stumbling upon online, that the show is too woke. And it sort of just sent me off in a spiral this morning, looking around like, what? Well, hi, who? What? I mean, Lewis, I wanted to talk about this because I'm just confused. The show centers around Falcon, who's black, Winter Soldier, who's white, Captain America, which is American. So of course there's going to be some topics of race and politics that I expected in a show like this. But I felt that the show has actually handled it pretty, it hasn't gone overboard in its sort of social justice, racial equality. They've sort of made a point to really sort of stay more on the plot while still having moments of injustice that happen to the characters, while not like monologuing about it in a way that I feel like a show like Batwoman really does force into, in a point where you're just like, oh my God, what is this show? It's just trying so hard to tell me what's right and wrong. Where I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier has done a better job at not trying to shove it down your face. I'm curious. I want to talk about what this term woke even really means, but do you feel like this criticism that the show is too woke is valid?
No, but I understand how people are feeling that way. I think it's because sometimes the studios overproject their diversity and it doesn't come in organically, and it feels like they're just doing it on purpose. So that's where we're at. But comparing it to Batwoman, I think they haven't watched Batwoman. Batwoman, right. I think gets to the point where it exploits diversity for revenue to get ratings. And this right here, so far, in my opinion, has come pretty organically.
Yeah, it's interesting because, look, you can have criticisms about this show. Maybe some people find it slow or they don't like the characters. There are valid ways to criticize this show, but I'm getting frustrated by the term woke being thrown around as liberally as it is, where it's just like, no, sometimes there are racial injustice moments in a scene that can happen, and there's one in question. So this all stemmed from a thread, and there's more than these two people, and I don't mean to call them on blast. Please leave them alone. This is what triggered this conversation. But I've been told the episode 2 is woke, so I'm not excited to keep going. And so this is sort of an attitude online. So I did some research, like, well, where's that coming from? There's a scene in question, and then I did some rooting around to discover this came from Bounding Into Comics, who reported on a report from Doomcock. Overlord DVD is Doomcock. And right there, I was like, all right, well, I don't know. I just don't trust his sources. I'm sorry, I'll say it. His sources have been wrong a lot. He makes a lot of just assumptions, and a lot of his base wants to follow and support him, and you're right. This isn't an anti-Doomcock video, but it's just a reality check of, even as he says, unnamed sources. There's a lot of stuff he sort of shares there, and some people buy it, some people don't. He can do whatever he wants, but this message just sort of frustrated me because I'm sorry, I don't buy this one. And I've looked around, I've watched, and I've seen other people who call out this sort of outrage stuff, the quartering and others watched this topic just so I could sort of research, what am I missing? Or is there something bigger that's happening that I don't understand? And even he sort of was calling out sort of the numbers here that apparently during this scene where Sam, and if you watch the scene, before the scene was out, they were sort of saying this was going to happen. But there's a scene where Sam and Bucky are leaving this house, or they find, again, no spoilers, they find something had happened that they didn't know. And there is a racial part to it that affects Sam. And he's very angry when he leaves this house, and they're sort of, Bucky and Sam are fighting pretty loudly in the streets. And they're inside, I don't know, do you know where they were, Lewis? But some southern state, somewhere, or I guess, is it Baltimore?
I don't know exactly.
It says I don't remember saying, but they've been moving around a lot. But anyway, some town where they're sort of yelling at each other, and a cop stops them. And the cops called and sort of immediately sort of asks Sam for ID, and Sam gets frustrated. And Sam's like, whatever. I don't need. I'm just walking and talking. I don't need to show you my ID. And the cop then arms the gun because he's being confrontational. Look, this is a moment that happens in real life all the time. Now, right at the gate, I could see, okay, this could go into a monologue-y, self-righteous, this is wrong type of speech, but it doesn't. The show goes there, and then they make a point of sort of Bucky alerts us, do you know who this guy is? And then the cop's like, oh my God, and then realizes he's the Falcon. And then, I'm so sorry, yada, yada. And then they sort of move on, and you can tell Sam's frustrated, but sort of blows it off and sort of deals with it. And they move on, and the scene's over. And so it's like, in this moment of this scene, I guess you could be bothered by it, but to me, this is a moment of, this is a real injustice thing that might happen to these characters, especially in the area they were in, especially in the moment that was happening in the context of the scene. And it didn't feel like they were hitting me over the head with social injustice and, oh, how dare these characters, how dare Disney remind us of racism? Like, because this stuff does happen. It just felt like a regular plot point that felt more realistic. Lewis, this scene in question, there's more I want to get to, is why they're reporting on the scene, but did you feel like this scene was overly woke or overly, message driven to sort of try to like remind us about racism and how bad it is?
Well, no, but I feel that scene was not well directed, honestly. And to be honest, as well, some of my crew, as we were watching it live, did feel that this was in your face, woke social justice, whatever moment. So they felt that way. I didn't. But who did the police end up being worse to?
Bucky.
Can we even talk? Yeah.
They do. So, a slight spoiler. We won't go more into detail, but they're meaner to Bucky once they figure out who he is. So that's my point of like, I don't know, like this idea of calling this scene woke to me, and that's why I want to make this video to have a conversation with you. Let's have a conversation in the dialogue down below. I don't find Lewis. This moment happens in real life. Am I crazy? This happens a lot especially to black individuals. It happens more. That's a fact. Do you disagree with me?
No, I do not disagree with you. Unfortunately, there was a time when I thought like this is bullshit as well. But until you start expanding your boundaries, your bubble, and start making friends with people who are diverse, and I don't think I never wanted to. It's just that my area was more Latin. So when I started the internet, I started meeting a lot more people and kind of like walking parallel to them, but not in their shoes. And there is a lot of stuff in the African American community that other people don't understand. Until you walk in their shoes, you'll understand that, these are touchy situations, always picked on, a lot of times followed inside a liquor store, make sure, stuff like that. And it's like, come on, man. Like, and it's like, I've seen that happen, man. I've seen that happen.
And so the reason I'm just bringing that up is like, this is a real moment that happens in life and probably would happen to Anthony Mackie or this character if this was a real scene. So to me, it doesn't scream as woke and social injustice because it didn't cut to Anthony Mackie lecturing the officer and lecturing the audience. Like there was no moment there of like, see everybody, like, anybody could sort of notice, well, this is wrong. But it was more of just like a moment where there is a plot point of why the cops were there and where the cops take one of the characters moving forward. If that hadn't happened, and this was just a moment where the cop pulls up and they had just to have a confrontation with Sam, then okay, maybe I could say, all right, maybe it wasn't necessary. But the plot point had a necessary part that moved forward in the plot that didn't have to do with race. Like the cops served a purpose in the scene, and it felt to me like a scene that was written well. So that's why I'm just frustrated. Like to me, the fact that we can't have a scene like this, which is in real life, in a show, without it now being labeled, oh, this is too woke. Why do we need to see the black guy be annoyed by the cop? We know this happens in life. Because it happens in life, and the show's going to cut to things that happen in life. I think we got to be careful of Batwoman is overly woke. Like they make a point where like the first moment you meet the characters, I remember, oh, well, you don't have to keep hiding your lesbian girlfriends with it. Like, I don't know anything about the characters except for that they made a point to remind me that she's a lesbian. And they sort of do things like that to me that really are forced in a way that I do agree the show is just, it's overdoing it. Where it's like, just make her a great character and have us find out when the girlfriend shows up. Like, why do you have to like tell us in the first 5 minutes to remind us, oh guys, don't worry, she's gay. That to me is where I agree, and I've sided with some of these issues, but I have trouble with this one. And furthermore, so apparently this has gotten out there and got spread a lot, and a lot of YouTubers and places cover it because Overlord DVD, that is Doomcock, I'm pretty positive, or maybe it's someone who works with him, whatever. But because there's a video I think they quote where they show him. But apparently, according to his sources, how the during this there's some metrics. I don't know how the hell he gets this metrics, because I've never heard of this metrics or how he would have it. Sources communicated to him that the tune out stamp, when people tune out of a show, how the hell his sources got that? Those must be so locked up. In the second episode,
you should sell that technology.
I know, seriously. If you have this technology, Doomcocker, your sources do, you'd be doing a lot more data with it than just calling out when the show's too woke. Red flag number one. But secondly, second episode is revealed when viewers stopped watching the show before the episode ended. As explained to Overlord DVD, logged on Disney Plus whenever a viewer stops watching a particular moment. This source claims that around 5 p.m. on Saturday across the board, the time tune stamp for the second episode, 5 p.m. on a Saturday, went crazy when people turning the show off in droves are on the same part of the show within seconds of each other. He quotes his sources of what could cause for all that was tuning at the same time. My jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. All the turn was a cop scene where it clearly shows they were ready to pull their guns on a black guy who was just arguing with a white guy. It's clear that this was the message. The YouTuber then states, so in other words, Disney felt like sticking a Black Lives Matter message smack dab in the middle of the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 2. And when apparently fans are sick to death of bad news and tragic headlines, turned off the episode. Overlord then claims, according to a source, that over the course of Friday and Saturday, a full almost 80% of people were tuning out at that particular point in the story. The number would apparently increase over the next few days as well, going up to 84% almost. Means 84% of viewers turned off the episode almost exactly at the same woke point. He adds the source claims there were a lot of substantial cancellations happening in real time. I'm sorry, this is bullshit. I'm going to say it. I've tried to avoid this a lot, but what? As Lewis just said, you have the technology not only to know the ratings and the cancellations of Disney Plus, but when they're tuning out, and you're only using it for this? Give me a freaking break. I don't buy that. How would you know in the middle of a Saturday? The show drops Thursday night at midnight. How would you know when everyone's watching it Saturday to pinpoint when? The way they're writing it is just such BS that to me now I am getting frustrated, because this is stoking something weird where it's like, people are out there now quoting this article, Lewis, hence this thing. I've heard, here it is. It's like, I heard episode 2 is too woke, so I'm not going to keep watching it. This is where it's coming from. They are forcing a Black Lives message. Sorry, I thought you had to. Forcing this Black Lives messaging into here. When did they say Black Lives Matter? They didn't say it at all. Look, I understand that this show does deal with race at times. It does deal with politics. It's about Captain America. I get that. But my God, people are tuning out and already spreading hate on this show because of one moment that had a plot point that actually had a reason for being there, and saying it's a Black Lives Matter moment. I'm losing my mind now. I can't stand up for that and just be like, oh, Andy, whatever. Lewis, do you see the sort of the craziness that's brewing in this?
Dude, it's a slow news month. That's all I can say. Hey, listen, no, I don't think I think that scene in question was poorly executed. I'm actually, I'm not trying to troll here, but I'm actually shocked that this show hasn't touched more on race, because at the end, it's like Sam's black, the new Captain America is white. I thought they were going to have like something in America where like everybody's like, well, Captain America can't be black, some sort of underlining storyline like that. But they totally didn't do that. So I'm actually shocked it's not as woke or even showing signs of woke. But again, here's the deal: people believe that because sometimes the studios over project things that they should be doing. It's like if someone watches this video.
That's valid. I hear what you're saying. Disney, especially, yeah. And I think people are still upset at Disney, yeah.
Someone watches this video and says, "Look at Popcorn Planet. They put a brown guy in," and they look at me. It's like, well, dude, no, I'm overqualified for here. So, like, just kidding.
It's true. He is, though.
But yeah, that's.
You've interviewed Anthony Mackie. You've done. You're legit.
Oh, he's so cool.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. Except for Frosty for Collider, we realized. That was look up a Man of Steel Anthony Mackie interview. My God, that's fascinating. But you're right, Lewis. There's definitely, I think, there's some people who are just frustrated with Disney in general. But look, there's two reasons I'm sort of just annoyed. One, I'm annoyed that you can't have this idea that a moment in the show where I feel like, okay, you're not wrong. It could have been. I think Anthony Mackie's not the best actor either. His delivery is very flat, and it's the same in every performance I feel like he's done. Sebastian Stan is the star of this show, especially last night's episode, and just the opening. Dude just was amazing. I'm really rooting for Bucky and Winter Soldier more than I am anybody else in the show. And that's why I'm just frustrated, because I don't feel like this show, as you said, this show could be so forcing the racism card and do
right
so
there.
much stuff. And this is the one moment where they sort of dip their toe a little bit in a scene that it didn't bother me, because I'm like, all right, yeah, this would happen where they're at. They're yelling at each other in the street. Yeah, there are some cops that just focus on black people. It happens, guys. So we can never do a scene like that again because that's too woke. I'm shocked at that. And
Guys, look up Rorschach. It's what's in your brain. You'll see woke in everything, right? Rorschach is just a design on the wall, whatever. It could be anything, but people see stuff that's not really there. Woke is in your brain. That's why you're seeing woke. You'll see woke anywhere.
Well said. It's like if you're looking for it, you'll find it, and that's the problem of like when I see these comparisons out there, which is why I sort of brought this up. Of just there was a point where I have it here of someone comparing this to Batwoman. Is what I was just sort of like I was trying to find it. I not to keep calling these people up. I don't want to keep pointing out their Twitters. Leave them alone. But there are the people are comparing this show to Batwoman, and I get offended because I'm like, have you watched Batwoman? Batwoman really does have some issues where they're just smacking you over the head with like this, I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier has been very, very careful and much better about it. Now, maybe it could by the end all be some message. We'll see. But right now, I'm also just frustrated for the fact that we can't have a real scene of racial justice. Wancho here actually said it very well. I wanted to call him out. If anything, the elements of racial prejudice and the mistreatment of veterans are rather pointed and direct, not bleeding off another overall arc of the show. It's because some folks don't want to care about how we treat others doesn't mean we should never talk about it. That's how I feel too. It's like, yes, some of these moments are legit and they're doing it in a dramatic way that fits into the plot, has a reason to be there. And if you don't like the plot and you don't like the show, fine. But to write it off because you think it's too woke because it has a couple moments of race, dealing with race since one of the characters is black, and politics because Captain America, I think it's so misguided. And beyond that, I just wanted to say I'm really enjoying the show. Like I know a lot of people aren't, but there's a reason I'm enjoying the show because for once I feel like they really are unpacking this world. And this world has set up a lot of interesting ideas of like this world post-blip, which if we really do lean into this idea of what if half the world disappeared and then came back 5 years later, the ramifications of that would be insane. Where do they get their jobs? Are they still in their relationships? There's so much interesting stuff there that it would be interesting. I totally buy there would be some organization that would be fed up and want it the way it was and fighting back. And like that's what the show's really sort of tackling and trying to talk about. And the lengths of how far is what's justice worth is really what I feel like, it is. The morality of like, well, how far do you go for what you believe is right? Those are the themes that the show's really tackling. And I think in a really clever and smart way, coupled with this idea of like living and unpacking the world of, well, what happens post-blip? I love this. There's someone else in one of the chats. I was like, oh, come on. That bank loan scene in part one was also so woke. I'm like, why? Because he's black? The scene was talking about the fact that Tony Stark never paid the Avengers. And I found that fascinating, Lewis, because I've always wondered that question of, do they get paid? Do they have insurance? Like, how do they justify things? And the bank teller that does that, I thought was a really interesting scene where he's like, wait, Tony Stark didn't pay you? Like, you guys don't have a fund or something? And the fact that they don't, I think, was very telling and interesting. I didn't look at the racism in that. I just looked at the fact that Bucky has the same problem. Anybody who's in the Avengers has the same problem unless they have a side job. And so that, to me, that's what this show and I feel like this world has been allowing us to do, which is to get deeper into this world. And I think it's done a really good job of it. I've been totally invested into it like a TV drama. Some of the action's not always, as big as maybe some want, or maybe it's too stupid. But to me, this is unfolding like a Marvel TV show would in a way that I've been very impressed. And episode 4, we won't spoil it, but my God, the end of episode 4, to me, I was just like, I was like, whoa. Now, there's a lot of conversations Lewis and I were already having about it, but I highly recommend this show. I would not, if you're someone who's just annoyed because there's one scene where a cop, gets frustrated and judges the black guy, and that's too much for you, then yeah, probably don't watch the show, I guess. Don't watch anything. But if you can get past that and sort of enjoy unpacking the world of the MCU, I do highly encourage try to get back into the show because I think it's getting really great. But Lewis, you disagree. You're not loving the show as much, correct?
Yeah, I think it drags a little bit. It has nothing to do with any messages in there and stuff like that. I do like the fighting scenes. I love the cinematography. The characters are great. They can bounce back. I think the last episode had a really good ending. Character arc is coming there, and it's getting really interesting. But so I feel it's okay. It's okay.
Interesting. Well, there you go. See, look, but it's not because it's too woke for you, is the bottom line.
No, no, not at all. I didn't even feel like that.
Right. So that's what this is really about. Look, if you don't like the show because it's slow or dragging, or you don't like the characters, okay, that's valid. Tell me what you think down below. I see a lot of people just sort of mistreating this because I think people are anti-Disney right now. A lot of people, but I think this show really is an interesting, stretched out sort of Winter Soldier vibe Marvel series, and it's unpacking a lot. We get to see a lot of characters. We get to really follow. And to me, the star is really Bucky, Winter Soldier. He's getting an amazing opportunity to learn more, which I didn't think I would care as much since he sort of is this sort of weird like unemotional zombie. But they've managed to give him a few moments already that I really feel for the guy, and I want to see where this goes and how it works. And Anthony Mackie's fine. I like Falcon too, but to me, it's really the Winter Soldier show, and then some other interesting stuff along the way. I have other issues. It's not like perfect show by any stretch of the imagination, but I've been surprised. Everyone says I hate on everything, Lewis, but I like this one. But Lewis, there we go. Thank you for joining me. I'm curious though in the comments. Tell me what you think. Do you think this show's too woke? Do we think we are overusing that term? What does the term even mean anymore these days? I'm getting so frustrated by it all. Anytime we talk about race, we're now a show is woke. Like we can never do it realistically. Is that really where the lines we're at? Do you all agree with that? I think that's insane to me. Batwoman is an example where I think they went over the line. And to compare this show to Batwoman to me is why I wanted to sort of just check, not just have you all agree with me, but like I'd love if someone disagrees and you want to debate me, please bring it down in the comments. Let's have that conversation. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed, how about you hit that subscribe button, smash that bell for all alerts, smash the like button, and leave a comment down below with your thoughts on this topic. While you're doing things, make sure you go check out Nerd Report. Go support him. He does watch parties every Thursday night. Sometimes I'm with him. Lewis, anything else you want to add?
Man, just enjoy life and stuff, and come on, man. Like, stop hating on stuff. Stop looking for stuff that's not there.
Well said. Stop looking at stuff that's not there. I do it, Lewis, still to this day. We always got to get outside, get some sunlight, be more positive. Life's too short. This one to me is Marvel TV show that we've expected. I don't know what people expected, but to me, this is really what it is, and I'm having a fun time. Tell me what you think down in the comments. Again, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Planet. Woo!